I've chosen for this thought for the day Psalm 121 because it's such a popular psalm. It was actually known as the Traveller's Psalm because it was sung by pilgrims as they made their way to Jerusalem, perhaps for the Passover festival. Now, whilst it expressed their faith in God, it also reflected their sense of unease as they travelled through dangerous territory. That was a picture of life's journey for them. And the writer speaks about lifting up his eyes to the hills. Now, when we think about hills, perhaps particular hills come to mind, the beautiful hills of Northumberland, but other hills or mountains that we've climbed and enjoyed. Now, hills are beautiful, but they can also be dangerous, and I know from personal experience just how dangerous they can be when a mist comes down unexpectedly and we lose our sense of direction. Hills and mountains are places where we not only can lose our way, we can of course lose our lives. And in the psalm, the hills and the mountains, in a way they represent the perils of life's journey, those robbers and wild beasts that hide in the gorges and ravines. And of course, death is the greatest robber of them all. It steals away our joy, our sense of peace, and replaces that with fear and emptiness, numbness and confusion. Well, as the pilgrims looked to the hills, they were filled with a sense of foreboding. They were wondering where their help might come from when they face such challenges. The psalmist was quick to respond to that question. My help, he says, comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. And what was true for him all those centuries ago can be just as true for us today. As we go through life's ups and its downs, and its twists and its turns, we travellers need God's help, and God's help is always there. He doesn't, of course, force himself on us. He's there if we're willing to turn to him. Now, he doesn't guarantee a trouble-free life, but he does promise that when those troubles come, he will be our help. Now, some people have argued that that is simply not true. This Christianity is just a crutch for those too weak to get through life without depending on something or someone else. The strong, they say, don't need God. They can manage in their own strength. However, none of us would try and climb Mount Everest without the proper equipment. So why do we try to live out our lives without depending upon the God who made us, created us, and is there for us? You see, God isn't just there for the weak. No, not at all. He's there for everyone, because the truth is that we are, in our own strength, all of us, weak. And we all need God's help to get through when we face those hills and those mountains of difficulty. In the face of this pandemic, I think we need to know that we are not alone on life's journey. The writer claims the Lord will neither slumber nor sleep. You see, God is the greatest insomniac. He keeps guard over us night and day. But then you're saying, is that really true? Were God's pilgrim people never attacked on their journey through the hills and mountains? Were they never attacked by robbers or by wild beasts? Well, as many of the other psalmists make clear, the writer of this psalm knew from his own experience that life can have very real ups and downs. However, what he discovered was that whatever life experiences might come his way, the Lord was always there. The Lord was faithful to protect him and to help him through. The Lord, he said, will keep you from all evil, and he will keep your life. Now, he wasn't speaking in the sense that he wouldn't have to face suffering if he put his faith in God, not at all. After all, even Christ himself suffered. But he was speaking in the sense that God would provide, or would protect rather, him from all the evils that suffering and difficulty could bring his way. What are they? Well, the evils of hopelessness, the evils of despair, the evils of despond, the evils of fear. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. You see, in all life's experiences, in its sorrows just as much as in its joys, in its failures as well as its successes, in its beginning as well as in its ending, God is there to give us the kind of help that we need to see us through, help that really counts. So today, as we face those hills, those ups and downs, those twists and turns of this pandemic, let us invite God to keep each of us from all evil, because he will. So let me end this thought for the day with some words of St. Paul that really speak into our situation. The Lord, he writes, is utterly to be depended upon by all who have faith in him. And he will give you stability and protection against all evil. May he guide you, writes the Apostle, into an ever-deepening understanding of his love and the patient suffering of Christ. 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, verses 4-5. So my prayer is for all of us, that when we face the ups and downs of despair, of depression, of fear, we may turn to him and find in him an ever-present help in times of trouble.